Well, hello, everyone. We want to welcome you to our next edition of the Empower and Equip podcast. I am your host, Brandon Watson, Connect Pastor here at Moberly Baptist Church in Longview, Texas. We are super excited because here we are with another episode. As you know, 2023 has been about the Homefront Initiative, and we have been talking about marriage, and we continue that conversation today. But I first want to introduce our special co-host with us today. It's Andy Hill. Andy, welcome to the podcast.
So good to be with you guys.
All right. Well, Andy, tell us a little bit about your title, what you do, and your lovely wife and your family.
So I am the executive pastor. I think that means I just catch all of everything that other people don't want to do.
Yeah, I've got some things.
I know. But no, I love what I do. I get to work with a lot of our different staff, facilities, operations, finance, administrative stuff. So, but I really enjoy doing that. My family, I am married to Michelle, who we've been married now for just over 25 years, known each other 26 years. We have 3 kids. Our 2 oldest ones, twins, are, both should be sophomores in college, but only one of them is. The other one is still trying to find his way, but he is going back to school, doing a great job. But those are my 2 older kids, a boy and a girl, twins. And then I've got my youngest one, God's little surprise for us, who is 7. Those are Graham, Abigail, and Aniston.
Yes, and your audio is correct. We have sophomores in college.
We do.
And a 7-year-old. So, yeah, so God is good.
He's got a sense of humor.
Yeah. Okay, on the set, our special guest today, we have Chris and Robin Scott, all the way from... what is it? Kayla Lane. That's right.
Kayla
so
Hood.
yeah. So welcome to the podcast. Chris and Robin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So Chris and Robin Scott from the Kayla Hood, as Brandon said. We've been married for 20 years, and I better get this right on audio, but married 20 years in June. We just celebrated that. We've got 3 wonderful children, Hunter, Caitlin, and Addison. Hunter, who we just recently took to college, as some of you guys already know. Yes. Yeah. I'm not to the whoop.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah.
But he is a fighting Texas Aggie.
He is a fighting Texas Aggie.
Okay. Well, that's all good.
Coming from a Sooner household.
Yeah.
We'll clarify that.
Yeah.
So.
And Robin, tell us about you. What do you do?
I work at Alpine Christian Academy, and I teach 3-year-olds.
Yes, and you're the right person for it.
I love it.
All right. Now, this is unique because this is our first podcast where we have remote guests. We've got 2 sets, 2 couples, and we are super excited to have on the screen behind us, we have Geoffrey. I almost said Geo because that's what we call him. But that's Geoffrey Davis. Geoffrey Davis and his lovely wife, Jill. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you guys?
We live in Marshall, Texas, and get to serve as the pastor for the Marshall location of Moberly Baptist Church. And I'm really excited because it helps us live on mission in kind of a cool place that's different from where we grew up, but it's a part of the same church we grew up in, which is awesome. We love it. And so my wife, Jill, is an incredible businesswoman and artist and awesome mom. We have 2 kids, Eli, who's 8, and Cora, who's 4.
Awesome. Jill was like, I don't, am I supposed to say anything? I mean, you did it. You did.
I don't know what else to say. You told him.
I can keep going.
Yeah.
Want me to talk more about it?
No, that's all good. Well, listen, you're going to have that opportunity in just a little bit. Well, our topic today is friendship and dating. And so we're excited about talking about this because this is one of those fun episodes where we're not really even talking about conflict or communication or issues. because hopefully we're talking about we want to be together, we want to spend time together, we love each other, we're great friends. So let's have some fun with it. So the first question that I want to throw out there, and here's the deal: we're just going to have just a popcorn discussion about that. Let's talk about friendship, and so share one kind of characteristic that you would say that you value in friendship and why. So let's go to Marshall first, and I want to hear from Jill.
Fun. We laugh together a lot and
At each other.
a lot. And with each other.
Yeah. Okay. Jeffrey, add something to that. What's a friendship value?
I think
Y'all are
I think
friends,
just
right?
like having
Sometimes.
we were friends a long time before we started dating, and I think that helps us, but not that that's a requirement. But I love it because we talk about this a lot in our marriage as a safe place, and our friendship helps like create that safe environment where we know like we're for each other, and we're with each other for the long haul. So it makes it more fun that way.
Yeah. Well, awesome. All right, back to the studio here. Chris and Robin, tell us a characteristic you value in a friend.
What's funny is we actually, tried to talk about this earlier, and we said both of the things that they just said, and I'm like, great, those were our answers. I was like,
Gotcha.
Great minds.
right? We were also saying communication, like being on the same page helps our friendship mesh pretty dang good.
Yeah. Good communication in that friendship. Yeah. Chris, something you'd add?
So I'll add the loyalty piece. Somebody that'll stand beside you through thick and thin. I mean, marriage isn't always fun and easy communication and those type of things. So just having somebody that's willing and able to be loyal and stick by your side even when you're not always right.
So how did you guys meet each other? And then how did your friendship begin?
Yeah. So let's start here, and then we'll work our way to Marshall.
Yeah. So we actually met each other at Moberly Baptist Church I'm going to show my age.
Hold on,
just
that's a
little
plug, ladies and gentlemen. That's a plug for Moberly.
There you go.
Youth ministry in Moberly.
Youth ministry, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Absolutely. With Geo here behind us and Jill. So we met at Disciple Now, which I'm showing my age just a little bit. For those that don't know what Disciple Now is, it's called Spark
Now.
today.
Yes, Spark.
So we were in the same host home, had been in the same youth group for years, but just never had the right connection. And
This is way before texting.
And I want to clarify, we do separate host homes now, okay?
we weren't in the same home. Let's clarify. Seniors got to meet during the day together and separate at night.
Okay, all right, good. I'm so glad we clarified that.
Yes, thanks.
Oh my gosh.
Kids these days are missing out.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why it's now called Spark. No, I'm just kidding. All right.
I'll be meeting with the youth staff this next week talking about this.
Okay, the same question to you guys and Marshall.
So it's interesting that you chose the Scotts and us because we have similar stories that we met at Moberly. I remember Geoffrey being in my Sunday school class maybe in first grade. That's when my family started coming to Moberly, and
I knew all the answers.
yeah,
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
he was mean as a little kid.
Oh, wow.
Probably true. Probably true.
Hey, he was a work in progress.
Yes. But we were friends when it was like you just picked on each other, I guess, as kids. But we were friends in high school, and we got Joe Parnell, who is our college minister here in Marshall. He was actually our college minister back then, too. So he put us together teaching Sunday school one summer, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened over a Sunday school lesson.
Something about getting together once a week and studying the Bible together, and I don't know.
Well, that's,
Fun.
hey, it'll do it. That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so let's throw another question out as far as friendship is concerned. What are some things that you guys continue to do to really foster that friendship? And that's important, especially in a marriage, just having that strong friendship base. You know, you've heard this, maybe this saying before of whenever the guy went to ask his future father-in-law for the hand in marriage, and the question is, you know, I love her, and then the dad goes, well, wait a minute, do you like her? And so that's pretty important. So how do y'all really work on keeping your friendship strong? Let's start in Marshall.
Well, we have as much fun together as possible, just all the time. So Jill's really good at keeping me like willing to just get out of the house and go get ice cream with the kids and go do fun little things here and there. And then we try to make a point to date as often as possible, whether it's some weeks we don't get to and some weeks we go twice or whatever we do. And then we work on projects together. We do a lot of like home projects, you know, remodeling stuff or kind of refinishing furniture. We're doing one right now. We're kind of getting creative in the garage. So yeah, we do that kind of stuff as much as possible.
Well, you know, I'm just thinking about this. It's pretty interesting. The two couples that we have, there's a lot of overlap that is really starting to hit me because, you know, Jill is very creative and just off the charts talented, and Robin loves to be creative and create things and stuff like that. So this is pretty fun. I'm just now. This
What
is
are you trying
really,
to say about me and Chris?
I was waiting
y'all
for a
married
follow-up.
up is what I'm trying to say. Y'all married way up is so. Okay, back to you guys. What's some things that you guys do here that build some strong friendship?
So, yeah, I think a lot of it's very similar to what Gio and Jill were talking about. I mean, you just find ways to have fun and spend time together. You know, and that looks different depending on what stage of life we're in. Sometimes that's, you know, spending 6 hours
Yard work.
on a Saturday doing yard work and, you know, we're doing it together. Or it's 6 hours at the ball field.
Yeah.
So here's the question. Friends have to talk. When do you guys, Robin, when do y'all find time to really, because, I mean, life is busy with kids and everything that you got going on. When's y'all's talk time?
Typically after dinner, we look each other and we go, do you want to go for a walk? And we'll just go walk the street and talk the whole, probably talks the whole time, but it gets him away from everything going on and we just talk.
That's a good thing. I mean, because you get that for sure. What about you guys?
Well, we're not at the point where we can leave our kids to go on a walk yet. We're looking forward to that day, maybe. But a lot of times when we first get home, we'll spend a few minutes just kind of catching up from the day and kind of reacclimating to
While we're cooking.
cooking
kind of
dinner
stuff.
together. And then after the kids go down for bed, we
It's important to
get 'em
finish
down.
that sentence.
yeah.
Putting a dog down and putting a kid down are different.
So,
Oh gosh. So we spend a lot of time, you know, after they go to sleep, catching up, and that's kind of our time. And it's sometimes what I look forward to every day.
so kind of wrapping up on this friendship piece of friendship and dating, do you have any tips, tools, resources, things that you would recommend about helping to develop that friendship, that bond?
Yeah, so one thing I would add, you know, Robin said we take the walks, and it's just an opportunity for us to get away and really be intentional about having that uninterrupted time together,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time together with friends and with family and at different functions and things like that, but just finding whatever avenue that is for you and your spouse to have that uninterrupted time, I think is extremely important. So.
Yeah. That's all good. Y'all do spend some good time with friends, and I'm available this next weekend for some of those crisp burgers. Just wanted to let you know that. Tips from you guys.
That word uninterrupted is really important, and we're still learning and growing how to have uninterrupted conversation and time together. One of the things we changed about our lives in December and January this year was putting our phones in a different room at night. And so we put them on a charger at a charging station in a different room in the house. And that frees us up. It was amazing to realize how much time we were spending on screens when we were together. And it was just undercutting all that time we had together. And so that's been a massive change. I think it's like probably the best decision we made in the last 15 years is to put our phones in a different room.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a really good call. Okay, let's make a transition, because obviously friendship and dating, we've already kind of breached a little bit of the topic. They go hand in hand. And so we're going to talk a little bit about dating. And the question I want to throw out, and we'll start there from Marshall, why has dating been so important to you? And how often do you get to go on dates, and how do you really work towards protecting that time?
Well, it's been super important to us because, like we were talking about, it's hard to get that uninterrupted time. And sometimes going on a date is the way that we get that. And I'm one of those people, I like to have something to look forward to, especially in the middle of being really busy. And a date is one of those things that I can look forward to. And you don't have to spend a ton of money. We like to, well, when Jimmy John's was still open, we're kind of bitter about that because it was kind of like a place we like to go, but it wasn't an expensive meal, but we would go and have Jimmy John's together in Longview. And I think sometimes that, like, the expense of a date is a barrier for people, but it's worth it. I would spend the money on the babysitter and you could go for a walk if you need to, not to spend money, but that's been really important to us. And what was the other part of that question, Brandon? How often?
Yeah, how often?
So we try to go on a date once a week. Sometimes that looks like the kids are in bed and we're just going to have a date night in. And that might look like just having dessert together or something, but this is like a date. So we're going to spend that time focused on each other. But typically we go out. And so sometimes it looks like once a week. Sometimes it's every other week. But we try.
Yeah. And it is hard sometimes, isn't it, because of schedules, right?
It's really hard because of schedules. And what we have started to do, especially at the beginning of a semester, and we were doing really good about this last year, is even just once a month taking, like, we know that this date is protected and we're going to, go out, or we're going to have a family weekend that weekend where it's just the four of us. And that's not so much a date, but just learning to protect that time and to be okay with, like, no, nothing else gets to be on the schedule during this time, whether it's the date night or the family weekend. And it kind of has given us a better identity as a couple and as a family.
Yeah.
So,
well, good.
We have to get our calendars out and actually put them together and figure that out.
Sometimes that's a date, to go on a date with our calendars just to create that space.
Yeah, no joke. Okay.
It sounds lame, but
yeah, good. No, that's true. That's true. What about you guys? Why is it important to you? How do y'all do it?
I think it's extremely important, and probably, it's starting to creep up on us. I mean, in 3 years, we could potentially be empty nesters.
Dating every night.
Wow.
Yeah, so I don't want to be.
Oh, the pressure.
I say the fear look on Chris's face. He's like,
He's picking up golf.
That's right. Yeah, find a few more hobbies, but in all seriousness, it's I don't want to have to reconnect with my wife in 3 years trying to figure out who we are together and that whole thing. So just trying to be intentional. Again, that word keeps coming up, but just being intentional, protecting that time. And there's a little bit of self-disclosure here. Hopefully we don't get reprimanded for this in this podcast, but after COVID came back and church activities and everything started back, that was kind of a time for us to reset, just as a family in general, with all the busyness of life. But I mean, we came back, but we sent the kids back, and really used Wednesday nights as that intentional free time for each other. And
he just tattletaled on y'all.
I mean,
Okay, let me write that.
We're in
gonna
church
say,
now on Wednesdays, so
Yes,
take note.
yes.
Thank
You are
you.
back on Wednesdays. I want you to know.
Yes.
Your backslidden days are over.
we are back. I'm glad you brought that up. But there for a period, we did use Wednesday nights,
Babysitter.
But I mean, for real though, we had that hour and a half time that we had no kids because they were involved. We knew where they were. We knew what they were doing.
Right.
So we could relax and focus on each other for
So
that
get
short
a
amount of time.
little vulnerable, all right?
Here we go.
And talk about your most or one of your most memorable dates. It could have been meaningful, it could have been funny, awkward, something that happened on that date. This is your chance to say something about your spouse maybe that no one knows. So
Oh, drum roll, please.
here we go.
Where are we going to start, Andy?
We're going to start in Marshall. I see Gio. He looks like
All
he's
right,
ready.
I got one.
Oh, wait.
All right.
I
Uh-oh.
wonder if he
Here's
had
the
a
Here's the
statement.
thing. Here's the thing. Apparently, I think I'm really good at coming up with fun, creative dates, and I don't know that Jill totally appreciates them, but I got a couple ideas. So one, before we were engaged, I took her we were living in Waco, took her to the Lake Waco Dam, but I knew she liked.
Can we
for
say
me
that
to
on the
think
podcast?
ahead. I think you can. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Did I pronounce it right?
You did. You did.
Yeah.
So I had gone out. There's like a hike and bike trail, and they had lights just along the way. And so I had gone out ahead of time and printed out these things that had something I loved about her on everyone. I'd put them just like down the way, so that as we walked, we would find them and had like little glow sticks with them. And so, because I knew that she would just want me to think ahead and plan something. What I didn't think about was that we weren't engaged yet. And the farther we got down that dam, she was like, oh my gosh, he's going to propose to me. And I did not plan on proposing that night at all. And so it was just a fun date. So when we got to the end, she was actually kind of disappointed.
She's like, what? Is that it?
It's over?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
Jill.
I have another one. I got another one that I like.
Okay.
Wait,
Or
we
you
have
wanna tell
a
everybody to come with the face?
25-minute podcast here, Jeffrey.
We probably need a whole podcast
know.
dedicated to
Yeah,
Jeffrey's
okay.
ideas.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So, Jill, did you have something there that you were going to? Was it the
Oh.
same one that you were going to talk about?
No. I was going to talk about our first date because I got in the car and Jeffrey had told me to dress like comfortably and might get like a little dirty. So I was like, okay, what's going to happen here? And then I get in his truck and he goes, I just want you to know that we're going to break the law today. And I was like, wait a second. I'm not signed up for this.
Wow.
And I didn't know where we were going or what we were doing. I was a little bit creeped out by it. And it turned out it was really sweet. He had done like a little campfire, bonfire thing and
It was a
made
burn
like
ban or something?
sandwiches. It was a burn ban. But I wasn't sure what I was getting into. And I'm like, here I finally found like a good guy to date. And the first thing he says is we're going to break the law.
A true rebel heart,
Thank
Gio.
you. Okay, we got to come
Yeah.
back here because we're getting close to wrapping it up. Okay,
Who's going first?
I don't know, Robin. Let's hear it, Robin.
One of my memorable ones.
Memorable
Yeah,
thing.
meaningful,
You know-
awkward.
Well, I know I forgot to run this by you. Anyway, when we were dating a long time ago, and we went with some of our friends to his Dearlies, and we were on the four-wheelers, and they had this coyote call, and I just remember sitting out there. Look, I don't do hunting animal things, okay?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I was sitting there, and they like play it, and it's like making coyote noises, and then all of a sudden you can hear like real coyotes, and then they did it again, and then it sounded like those coyotes were like right on our four-wheeler. And I remember starting those four-wheelers and like heading straight back to the car. I'll never forget that. That was probably the most memorable one.
Yeah.
I was like, what am I dating?
So you scared her to
You know what
death.
you're dating is a redneck.
Well, yeah, if I only mentioned the other people that were with us, you would know that it was White Oak Rednecks. Yes.
I'm going to take you out and we're going to pull out the coyote call.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, Chris, please redeem yourself.
I'm
Yes.
just glad she considered that a date. But
It was a date.
yeah, probably my
consider-
favorite, most memorable involved, a whole night of Hallmark movies and popcorn.
Oh, my
Oh, that's.
No, I'm totally.
Oh,
I was gonna
like,
say, you're not a Hallmark movie
Totally
guy.
kidding.
Come on.
So,
who was you with?
so probably the most memorable, and this will probably be maybe a little bit embarrassing for my spouse, but we'll go there
Oh,
anyways.
great.
So we took a trip. We went to Las Vegas with a couple friends of ours, but there was a purpose behind this Vegas trip. I wasn't going to Vegas for the typical Vegas.
Yes, yeah.
But so we get there and we've done all these activities, different things. But we had a night where I told her, hey, we're going to dinner. We're going to a really nice place to eat. We're going to walk the strip, whatever, and just spend the evening together. So we go, we do all that. We're doing dinner. We walked to the Wynn, I think it was the Wynn Hotel, and I had went to, and she's, if you know my wife, there's a very few things that you can pick out real quick that's just, she's obsessed with.
Yeah.
And one of them is Garth Brooks.
It's Garth Brooks.
So
I'm so excited. Garth Brooks.
we're in Vegas. Garth is doing the whole Wynn Vegas thing. And we're doing dinner. My wife keeps talking about going, has no idea what we're going to be doing that night. So I go to the restroom. I come back out. And I'm like, you're not going to believe this. I just ran into Garth, and he...
I almost went into the bathroom. He stopped me.
Yeah.
It was pretty cheesy, but I came out with the tickets, gave them to her. Well, that wasn't the end of it. So we go in, and it's a very tight setting where he's doing these concerts. And
He's like, don't get
anyways,
excited. We're in the upper balcony. I'm like, I'm already excited. I don't even care if he's like, I can't even see him.
Wow.
So we walk down second row, and at that point, my wife locked up
I lost
for
it.
the entire rest of the night to
I
where
couldn't
the
breathe.
security guards
It's true.
had to escort her out of there
It's
at
true
the end
story.
of the
Oh,
concert.
wow.
It's a true
So
story. I couldn't breathe. It was great.
I learned something new about my wife that night, that was probably going to be the last Garth Brooks concert that we
It
had.
wasn't. He took me just some more.
That date kind of flopped in my behalf. But
Well, we're getting close to we need to wrap up our time together. Just one of the things that, as we do wrap up this time, there's a lot of different tools and tricks that we can do. We will try to do our very best to post some, but there are books that give you fun and creative date nights. This is 52 ways to enjoy creative date nights. Maybe I'll put this up for bid for you guys. What do you think? Maybe. I don't know. Andy? Okay. But dating and friendship is, something obviously that goes hand in hand. What's one thing that, this is the last question, what's one thing that you'd say, hey, as you're thinking about this, consider this with friendship and dating, maybe just last tips or something like that before we wrap up.
I would say that you got to date as a married couple, because dating is what tells your spouse that they're the most important thing in your life next to God. And when you take time and say your time is more important with them than with kids, that shows them that you love them more than you love your kids. More, you love them more than you love your friends. You love them more than you love your hobbies or whatever. So
Right.
It's just a great way to show love.
Awesome.
And it's a great way for our kids to see that we love each other.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
You're modeling that. That's very important that they see that.
I would encourage people, don't overcomplicate it. I think a lot of times because, you can't set this perfect date or this perfect night into play, whether it be because of schedules or money or whatever it is, so it never happens.
Right.
Don't overcomplicate, just trying to be intentional and spend that time together. So
Yeah. And if it's with Chris, it usually involves ice cream.
Yes,
always
amen.
involve
Yeah.
ice cream.
Well, I want to thank you guys for being on the podcast today. It was fun. We had a good time talking about it. And thank you guys for joining us over in Marshall. And we love both of y'all. You're a very important part of Mobberly. And thanks for sharing your wisdom and your funny stories today. And Andy, thanks for being
thanks for having me.
Great co-host. I hope you took away some great dating and friendship tips.
I think I'll go start dating my wife now.
Okay, then yeah, that's a good call. Well, thank you guys for being a part of the Empower and Equip podcast, and we'll see you again real soon.